Let's take a look at a 45-degree hip extension. I'm going to show you a couple of good repetitions, and then we're going to talk about setup both on the 45-degree hip extension move and using a Smith machine in case you do not have the 45-degree hip extension. Both of these can be used equally well. So as far as setup goes, if you're using a 45-degree machine, what you want to make sure is that hip bend is above where the pad is. So that first one I showed you was good. Now this is going to be an example of if it is too tall for me. You'll see how I cannot bend. The pad is too high, so it actually prevents me from having that good hip hinge. So we want to make sure that it's low enough that your hip hinge point is higher than the pad. Now, if you're someone who's shorter, this may be difficult, and there's a couple of ways that we can amend it. First, just so you understand what we're trying to do here, we want to drop as low as we can with a neutral spine. Then we're squeezing our glutes together to lift back up. We're not lifting our chest up. Almost think about pressing your hips into the pad and squeezing the glutes like you do with a glute bridge or a hip thrust to come back up. A slight external rotation of the toes can help with this movement, but once we get to the top, stop when your glutes are fully flexed. A slight chin tuck here can really help. Now, if you are too short and you are noticing that you are struggling to get that hip crease above the pad, what you can do is you can place a block or a bumper plate or a regular plate underneath your feet. Now, I only put one under one of my feet because I actually don't need the height, but if you're on a machine where you do need the height, please put it underneath both feet. Again, this just gives you a little extra elevation to get your hips above that pad crease. Now with this movement, we are going to have two options as far as weight goes. Please make sure that you do this with body weight with good form before you add weight. For weight, you can either hold a weight near your chest and hold it close like I'm showing here, or the other option is going to be you're going to hold it up near your head. Now, if you're holding a weight near your chest, you're going to be able to hold more than you will if you're holding a weight closer to your head. Obviously, this is just physics. So if you're holding it near your head, obviously I have a hat on, so it kind of got in the way. Some people like to put like a paper towel in between the weight and their head. Obviously, totally up to you there. But if you are holding a weight at the top of your head, this is my preference. It is going to need to be a little bit lighter than when it is closer to your chest. Again, the weight is further away from the pivot point, so that's why. Now, what to do if you do not have a hip extension machine? All is not lost. You can simply use a barbell rack or a Smith machine, I think is the easiest way to set this up. But again, it can be done at home just as easily with a rack. I like to use a bench to give my feet the elevation. The nice thing about a Smith machine or a barbell rack is that you can adjust the height. So it's going to be a little bit easier to adjust to make sure that your hip crease is at the appropriate point. You'll need to use something to keep your feet in place. Again, that's why I like using a bench because it's really heavy and it's going to stay in spot. Otherwise, you can use bumper plates or dumbbells. They just have to be heavier so that your feet aren't sliding out and you have that stability. Now, again, the setup is pretty similar when we are using the machine. We're making sure that we're keeping that nice neutral spine, going as low as we can. We want to get about a 90-degree angle or more at our hips. And again, we can hold no weight. We can hold weight at our chest. We can hold it at our head. So here I'm going to show you from the side just so you can see a little bit better, but see how I maintain that nice neutral spine. Then squeezing my glutes to come back up. I'm not lifting my head. I do have a slight chin tuck and my feet are slightly externally rotated in order to get this movement as maximized as I possibly can. And that is how we are going to execute the 45-degree hip extension. Again, lots of options here. So figure out what you like best, what's the easiest for you to set up, and you can use any of them. They are one for one.